Redesigns, sometimes good, sometimes not so good. Imagine you are a parent and your kid comes home looking like this after you did not allow them to dye their hair. You will be a bit disappointed, but eventually you get used to it. Or you just kick them out and put them up for adoption. Or you don't really care. A very subjective topic, so I'm prepared for you to hopefully tell me how wrong I am about some of these, since I enjoy being insulted, so it's a win-win for me. One of my favorite franchises is Xenosaga, and every single game has a different style to it, and characters just decide to go, yep, time for a change of fashion. Mostly the girlies. It's a bit like reading or watching Hunter x Hunter, where Killua has a new fit every chapter, while Gon walks around in his funny green outfit all the time. Look at Ziggy and then at Cosmos or Xion or even Momo. That's how life in general is too, after all. Most guys sadly never try to develop their style. I mean, the cargo pants plus Triforce shirt combo is a hit after all, so why change? Xion went from a cute nerdy girl to a lady that you are too afraid to approach at the local bar. And she does not look like she would date a Kevin anymore. Imagine yourself as a woman. Would you date someone called Kevin? I sure as hell would not. Imagine having to moan that name. I would even rather moan my mom's or dad's name than that. Sorry to everyone who is called Kevin. For me, to this day, Cosmos' first design is still the best, even if technically it's the second design since Prototype Cosmos exists, but sadly not in a playable state. Unless you got the reloaded version, Xenosaga did it before Persona, that only released in Japan, since then you can play with it as a skin. I also just love the story behind it. How Takahashi, the guy behind the Xeno games, was like, hey, I want a Robo girl that's hot as shit, and to achieve it I will show you pictures of my favorite porn stars. Now go ahead and do it. Absolute beast mode, we will never see that again from him. Looking at this Cosmos, you can feel how Takahashi, Choco and Tanaka sat in a tiny dimly lighted room and were discussing for hours on end how to make the best sexy Robo girl of all time. Saito came pretty close to it with Hana Judgment Day at least. Then her design in 2 is this, and I like the concept behind it. Nowadays she would show up in one of those Frutica Ero Y2K compilations on TikTok together with a bunch of other buzzwords to try to make you feel nostalgic for the early 2000s. The in-game model lets the whole design down because it has that uncanny valley feel to me with her face, same with the other characters, and I'm even a Xenosaga 2 defender for the most part. With the art style of 1 or 3, this design could have been so good, but instead it's just a fumble execution unlike those clean ones that you may have seen on the interwebs when you were way too young to see them. It's also missing the somewhat crazy aspect of what she can do with her tummy. Instead of feeling a bit alien-like, it's now too technological for me in a certain way. In 3 she's also pretty neat again, but here I prefer the Chinese-inspired swimsuit. Ayane in Ninja Gaiden 4. I know it's Gaiden, but I kinda like to say Gaiden because it's kinda funny. Yes, she is still hot, but in such a not so sexy way, because it feels like it tries too hard to be seductive. The outfit itself fits the game with its more edgy approach and futuristic look, and it's fine, but it's not screaming Ayane to me. It doesn't show this typical somewhat cold but still approachable arrogant shy under the hood girl that will easily beat you up. And I think a more classical outfit would also have been a nice clash with the more sci-fi looking aspect of the game. It would have made her stand out a bit more, not like she shows up much anyways. And they filled that role with the love interest already, I guess. Sure, that boob window is perfectly sized and made for Pazuri without taking the outfit off, which I'm a big fan of, but she's not the kind of lady who would give that to you easily to begin with. You can only imagine it without actually getting it, since she's not real. Also, I'm not a big fan of feet, so why is it showing off her toes so easily? Maybe it's to distract the evil baddies when she kicks them with her little toesy rosies wiggling around right in front of their face and they try to get a heavenly taste of them with a little lick or suck. That would work on me, and I'm not even into feet, and I'm not evil, I think. Most of the newer designs, or actually all of them, of the enemies in the Demon's Souls Bluepoint remake. Why? Why did they even try to put their own spin onto it? It can't be that hard to take something that already is there and then just make it look better in a more graphical approach of it without ruining the whole art style of it. I know Japanese developers or people in general stay polite about matters like this, even when it's maybe not their true opinion, but if I created something that is beloved by people, so it will never happen, and some hacks would try to turn it into their own uglier version of it, I would never allow anyone else to work on my stuff. It perfectly shows that most people care about shiny graphics instead of a great art direction and style. The kind of person who would instantly buy a Ferrari if they won $1 million and spend it all on bullshit instead of maybe setting up a brighter future because they are not bright in their head. This remake is the perfect litmus test to see if someone really cares or not about video games. Obviously many demons go through a bunch of changes from each Shin Megami Tensei, but one of the absolute best redesigns for me is Michael. Just look at the difference. I know there is a lot of symbolism behind his design and is closer to how he is described in the Bible, but to me the coolness matters a bit more. I look at him and think I'm fucked, while I look at his normal design in most games and think yep, that sure is an angel fighting me. I think it's kinda cool how Persona earlier always had the Shin Megami Tensei Persona insert number here name. Now it became bigger than what it came from, so they dropped it, but you know where they didn't drop the ball? With Hitler. You can hate him all you want, even though nowadays quite a lot of people agree with him thanks to the actions of a certain country, but you can't deny the aura he has in Persona 2, regardless of what you think of him as a person. Even if it's not really him, any person behind him is even cuter. That kinda sounds like I'm saying he's cute, but he's not. So it's kinda okay to like him here with those cool shades, right? Obviously not a real redesign and more like they had to censor it a tiny bit, but still. It's just a tiny bit funny to me. Chris from Resident Evil 7. You know, I'm not the biggest Resi fan who has played them all, but even to me this quiz just made me think, what? They try to explain it in interviews, but even after reading them you would still think, what? Sure, it's a new engine and all that, but wouldn't you still try to find a person to model him after that fits him a bit more? It's fine to unbeef him a little bit, because maybe he went too beefy and then he went straight back to being beefy anyways, but he was like a completely new guy. You could have asked any fan who this character is without spoiling them and they would have went, oh, maybe a new guy? And that for me always missed the point of a redesign. A redesign should still be able to tell you who the person is even after changes. Also, I think Ashley was way cuter in the original game, not as cute as the real Ashley though. Her new look is too supermodel-like for my taste, because well, she was based on one now. She had this Dumbo look normally and it made her look special in a low IQ way. I love it when characters don't look perfect in cute ways. Same goes with the Xenoblade X girls that got fixed in quotation marks. It sucked out the soul of Tanaka's sad face art that he often draws. You can often see the melancholy in the eyes of the characters he draws, but here, all of it gone. Go read Hoi Hoi-san, his masterpiece, or play her video game, or watch my video on it maybe if you're afraid of bugs. Only if you want to though. I wish it would come back for the Xeno franchise, same with Coco, but sometimes we are not allowed to have good things. Alucard from Castlevania, the jump is pretty insane. Kojima's art, no, not that Kojima, for Castlevania is just on a totally different level, even if some other characters got a bit of a downgrade like Maria. I'm also fond of the classic western style they went with for the first few games, but Castlevania in my head screams for her art style. It gave it such a stronger own identity. When you talk about Castlevania in a different art style, there will be also an elephant that walks into the room. Eventually. I'm one of those people that love Judgment. Did they mostly pick up the artist of Death Note to catch on its popularity during that time? Maybe. But they go hard. Except Simon, who is I think a bit to blame for the bad reception to it since he is just light. Look at him, he's basically just light. He could have made him way cooler. And well, it also came out during the time where the sentiment of fuck anime in my video games was at an all-time high almost. Nowadays I realized that was actually a good thing to keep the idiots away. The Prince After Sense of Time is a good design. I know this is gonna be one of those big ones where you will tell me yep, you suck for having this opinion. I'm a sucker for edgy stuff and various other things. He went from the kind of guy who would show up in the background of a Shakira or Christina Aguilera 2002 music video dancing for a song that's inspired by the Arabian Nights to a guy that looks like he listens to Linkin Park, has a girlfriend who is 10 years younger than him, who still goes to high school, but everyone goes with it because he gets some weed and alcohol. They had a whole trailer with Godsmack music, how could you hate that? He looks like a badass version of Bam Margera, who was kinda badass when I watched Viva La Bam and Jackass back then. Nowadays, well. He was still based for always fucking with the fat pedophile though. You know who should have never went edgy? Bomberman. I mean, do I have to say more? Like you just learned I love edgy shit, but this is not white. It never did and never will feel white. Bomber girl though, I can get behind that. Some of those girls sure make me explode at least in a certain way. When I don't pay attention to the game and blow up. You probably thought about something naughty, but I meant when I don't pay attention to the game and blow up. I don't actually play it since I'm not allowed to as a Baka Gaijin, and you gotta pay and I'm broke. They're sitting on a gold mine. Please just make an actual Bomber Girl game. That surely will save Bomberman. On the topics of explosions, Serious Sam 2 and its variant of the iconic screaming headless guy who comes charging at you to deal massive damage while screaming, you know, Sometimes you really don't need to reinvent the wheel, you know. Let things stay the way they were and are. Regardless of how much you change the art style, the concept of the game and so on. Imagine Game Freak making a Pokemon game without Charizard. Impossible. That's how these feel like. With a head. They should have a head. I love Pinky from Doom Sweep. Normally Pinky looks so cute and funny that you want to keep him as a pet, but in 3 they actually turned him into a scary looking fella who finally scared you, maybe. Depending on how easy it is to scare you, I'm easily scared. Doom 3 has a totally different feel to it from all the others, and that's why I think all these redesigns also fit. I even like the Kako demon here because he still retained his essence while looking pretty damn different. I prefer many of these to 2016 or Eternal where they went too cartoony again. Their Pinky looks like Diablo's little brother. Or if we want to be really mean, he looks like the disabled son of Bluepoint's Flame Lurker even after they try to fix him. Henry from No More Heroes 1 and 2 and Travis Strikes Back to 3. Just absolute cringe. Haha, he watched Torm and then found it a code and went insane. Wouldn't that be funny? That's what happens to me if I watch Cape shit. I think No More Heroes 2 being so good without much of Suda's involvement broke his brain a little bit, and he tried to turn the franchise into something that it never was meant to be because he was thinking, is this how people see my works? There are no words for how much I think the third game is a total disgrace to the whole franchise, and just looking at it again fills me with a sadness that I can't put into words. Unlike my hatred that I could fill a whole video up with. There are no positive words I can say about this game. I think I could just mark its whole art style as a redesign and consider it the absolute worst. Travis Strikes Back at least had something to say while being ugly as fuck, but 3 can't even blame the Unreal Engine for this because along the way Suda just forgot how to make an appealing art style. You can have a video about redesigns and not mention all those Mascot characters from back in the day. Some survived the need to make them redefine themselves, like Sly Raccoon. He was so cool from the start, they never felt like he needed much change. He's a raccoon after all, and they're perfect the way they are. Top 5 animal. Unlike Jack, who turned edgy because that's what you had to do starting in around 2003 and 2004. I didn't mind that because it gave the game more flavor instead of being a somewhat generic jumpin' one, but I can't agree with the goatee. They never ever look good. They are the worst beard of all time. If you got one, please just shave it off or grow some more hair around it. Just don't do this. I think the 2 that had it the worst were Conker and Spyro though. Luckily this Conker never saw the light of day. I would wish for my mom to have gotten an abortion if they got told by doctors that I will come out looking like that. It straight up boggles my mind. We all know that the people in the business suits up there are not the brightest and don't know what the gamers want, but this is like an insult. Why did they even feel the need to use Conker anyways? Sometimes a dead franchise is a blessing in disguise because I would rather never get another game than this. I know it wasn't meant to be for a real game, but still, why did they even do this? Enter the Dragonfly was one of the worst games I ever played as a kid, but at least Spyro himself still looked fine, till they turned him into more of a goblin than a dragon. Normally I'm a big fan of goblins and I would even date one, but this one just makes you think I want to smash him with a hammer and then murder him with a hammer. Reignited Spyro was a return to form, even if I think the very first Spyro has that lovely Dumbo look to him and is still superior, but it's mostly nostalgia. Whatever became of Guilty Gear, I'm not gonna pretend that I played them much since I suck at fighting games, but I always loved the grudgy look of the early games. They felt dirty, rusty, everyone had the look of a person who would scam you for a quick buck. Now it's happy-go-lucky. Bright colors, buttwork that is a parody of itself on the level of Crush 40. And it's like everyone would ask you to go shopping for cute underwear with them while having cake and adopting 500 puppies in a Mr. Beast style video. Does Karen May still look like a person who you would believe how much she hates bald people? No, she does not, that's what I mean. No, she looks like she doesn't mean it, she's a performative bald hater. Left another Xeno related take towards the end of the video since it's not totally a redesign, since it's more like a new design with how Rex and Shulk appear in Future Redeemed. Rex especially just screams to me that they thought, yep, there's too much anti-R stuff out there about our boy Rex being cucked, so let's turn him into a Giga Chat, not just personality wise but also body wise, and it just feels so forced to myself. People making up headcanons about how he got so impacted by Mets that he became so buff because he wanted to be like him, but I just don't like it. But he needs to be buffed so he can wield 2 swords at once. Look at Cloud. Look at his noodle arms and then look at his Buster Sword that makes me want to bust because I love big simple swords. In the end it's anime, that's the fun of it. You don't need muscles to be the strongest. Outer Shulk's outfit is also so much less interesting than his original. They already made it worse and Lame in Future Connected, so maybe that was a sign of things to come. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video and will have a good day, a good night or whatever fits your time zone. I know this video was a bit more on the not so nice side of me, mostly talking badly about some of these, but hey, sometimes you have to let out some steam. Normally I'm a friendly and happy person, trust me. I love rainbow, sunshine. Actually, I don't right now because this summer heat is turning me into a monster, and that's maybe why I'm a bit cranky, because I also had to turn off my fan for the recording, because otherwise you can hear the fan in the back of the recording, which I've done once upon a time last year or the year before that one, or the year before that one, and I didn't realize it till then I heard the recording and was too lazy to re-record it, but back in the day I did give less of a shit, but nowadays I'm sweating too much. And good designs. Sadly for me, I guess most redesigns are more like down designs. It's like when I went to the hair salon as a kid and they messed up my hair and I never felt happiness after. It destroyed my social life and my self-confidence. I probably forgot about a bunch of other redesigns because of me trying to not remember my trauma from it. For example, right now there would be a big discussion about Donkey Kong, but I don't care about Donkey Kong much, so I didn't include him. And there's like so many more that I personally never really cared much about it, but you know, that's for another day maybe you can tell me about yours. Bye bye.